you know of a case or a number of cases of high-profile, maybe famous figures whose power has encouraged them to abuse junior people, your members, that sort of thing? Do you know of any such people and cases?
Undoubtedly, there are other people hiding in plain sight, and
Famous
I'm sure
people with
those
power
stories.
in the industry.
Absolutely.
It's moving quickly, isn't it? The story is ballooning in various different ways, including words from Number 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Across the board, MPs are essentially saying that the media at large has questions to answer when it comes to not just these allegations, but essentially what appears to be systematic abuse of power within the industry of those who are either fronting shows or at the top in terms of executive positions. In the last minute or two, promoters of Russell Brand's tour have confirmed that they're postponing the scheduled show that was scheduled for tomorrow evening at the Theatre Royal in Windsor. And that comes on the back of the Metropolitan Police confirming the last half hour that it received a report of an allegation alleging sexual assault in Soho, as you mentioned before, back in 2003. And that's extended the timeline that we already kind of had alleged against Russell Brand. We thought it began in 2006. Now this first official police complaint is taking the dates back to 2003, and I'm certain there will be more to come, because whatever we find when it comes to this is that when one person or when a few people come forward publicly, it empowers other women to come forward and find the strength to speak up about their own bad experiences, not just when it is in relation to the person being exposed or allegedly exposed, but just in general. Do they feel like, okay, if those women or if that woman can speak out, maybe I can too, maybe I can find the strength to do it. And I think it is really important, like you mentioned then, and others have mentioned when it comes to MPs, you've just heard clips from them on the show saying it takes a lot of bravery to come forward. I think it actually takes more to go forward to police than it does to media in a way, because the results of complaints of rape and allegations that go to police, the conviction rate is so low, and the process that you go through to get to the point of even getting to court is really harrowing, having to recount what you've been to, having to back up what you've been through, relive it again and again, and really being pushed to your limits throughout that process, and then worrying, are you going to have to face your abuser in court? There are things that, as a victim, you have to overcome at the same time as when people say, well, why are they coming forward now? When these things happen in the moment and in the time immediately following, a person may not feel strong enough because they're still so confused and almost in denial about what's happened to them. So I think people listening to this story as it develops really need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, so the police will be looking to see who else comes forward with formal complaints. The Times has reported that more women have come forward. We'll see whether it goes to the next stage. And meanwhile, where Russell Brand is concerned, he had a tour in the diary. Ellie, what's happened to that?
Yeah, so the promoters have said that the date that was scheduled for tomorrow has been postponed. They've not said it's cancelled. They specifically say postponed. And there were two other dates because he only had 3 dates remaining. So we know that one, tomorrow evening, Tuesday, has been postponed. And those expecting or those who had tickets for the Theatre Royal Windsor can contact the venue direct to get a refund or, to hold and see whether the rescheduled dates work for them if they do end up being rescheduled. So, yeah, and I think it's probably likely the rest follow suit, if I'm honest. I can't see them going ahead at this rate. Although, having said that, I must point out that Russell Brand has a very, very loyal following online. He gathered this following. He has, I think, 11 million followers on Twitter, or X as we call it now, 6 million on YouTube, as he's rebranded himself. Use the brand pun there as a wellness guru and someone who speaks out against conspiracy theories, which people are noting how convenient that is, that he's now using that conspiracy theory line to refute these allegations and say that the media is in some way out to get him, which I think is quite an egotistical statement to make, because in the grand scheme of things, who is Russell Brand when it comes to the way the world works? But that's what he's using. And so those people who have got tickets to the show, there's no kind of feeling that they don't want to go and see him still. There's still a lot of support out there from those kind of those people with those extreme views who follow him and follow his messaging.
Yeah, but he was cheered at an event, wasn't he, over the weekend, even as the story was breaking. Ellie Phillips, good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. And I want to say hi to Phillipa Childs, who's General Secretary of BECTU. That's the Media and Entertainment Industry Union. Hello, Philippa.
Hello.
What are your thoughts on this now, Philippa?
Despair, anger. I just, as has already been said, this is not the first time that we've had allegations of a serial offender hiding in plain sight. And I think broadcasters are going to need to ask themselves why it is that people feel able to go to the press with these allegations, but they don't feel confident about coming forward to the broadcasters and telling their stories. And I think broadcasters have got to really step up and accept that their internal processes may not be fit for purpose. And in particular, we're very adamant that broadcasters should commit to the Creative Industries Independent Standards Authority, which is being developed as we speak, and which some have already committed to, but some have yet to commit to.
Okay.
I think the time for independent scrutiny, for people to accept that there needs to be independent scrutiny, is now.
Okay, and I do want to hear more about your thoughts on remedies of different kinds in just a moment, but maybe you can answer your own question there. And leaving aside detailed allegations and denials about Russell Brand just for a moment, we've seen, as you say, examples of appalling conduct by big media figures. Jimmy Savile is just an extreme example. We later found rumours and knowledge of the truth, or part of the truth, was circulating in the media industry. What do you think? Is there something in the nature of the media industry that might explain that?
Yes, there is. I mean, we have very powerful figures, and we have a freelance workforce for whom work is very precarious. People worry about when they're next going to work, where they're next going to work, and inevitably, when you're making a complaint about someone who is extremely powerful on screen talent, then it's difficult, isn't it? Because everyone worries where their next job is going to come from, particularly if you're a junior freelancer, which it seems that in recent cases, people have been very junior, and they are very scared. They don't know where to turn to. Broadcasters do have reporting lines, but often people don't know what's going to happen with their complaint if they report it to one of those lines. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't know if it's confidential. So there are huge things, huge challenges for anyone who wants to make a complaint, and they will worry, particularly if they're young and, as I say, very junior, new to the industry. They will worry about their futures.
Yes. So you want to see a route for people to take who have a complaint to make. You want to see independent oversight of a new system. How do you persuade victims to come forward, though? Because you can set in place the machinery, but getting people to come forward is still another challenge, isn't it?
It is indeed. But, thankfully, in many of these cases, people have felt confident about coming forward to the newspapers because they obviously feel that they're going to be listened to, and that there is some independence in that process. So what I think the industry needs to embrace, actually, I mean, it was Caroline Dinenage who set up the round table, which first established the idea of this Creative Industries Independent Standards Authority. I think the industry needs to embrace the fact that there needs to be a safe place for people to go, particularly in the case of alleged serial perpetrators, so that an independent body can have a look at what's going on and can take evidence and can come to a conclusion. Yeah,
you say it's easier to go to a representative of the media than to come out publicly and make a formal complaint. You'd think it might also be easier to go to you or a member of your union or a representative of your union. Has that happened? Do you know of cases of complaints that have come across your desk beyond, of some seriousness, of the kind that we're talking about?
Well, you would be surprised how nervous people do feel in this industry about coming forward. But
You mean you don't know of cases?
No, we do know of cases. Absolutely. People do come to us and talk about situations that they have come across, and we obviously advise them as far as we can and support them where we're able to. But I'm just highlighting
Yes.
that even then, people feel very nervous about it. They feel very nervous about their future in the industry.
Right. Look, we're talking about high-profile cases, and we could name a number of names. I don't ask you to name names now, but do you know of a case or a number of cases of high-profile, maybe famous figures whose power has encouraged them to abuse junior people, your members, that sort of thing? Do you know of any such people and cases?
Undoubtedly, there are other people hiding in plain sight. And
Famous
I'm
people
sure
with
those
power
stories.
in the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you been able then, I must ask you then, to do anything to get those cases into the light? Because otherwise, in a way, aren't you, you're sort of, I know you're not willingly tolerating, but indirectly tolerating what we're talking about.
I mean, we have to obviously be very careful in terms of how we support our members, and we always ensure that what we do is only what they are prepared to do. So we support them as far as we can. We advise them about which routes to take and how to take their complaints forward. But there is, as I said, there is a fundamental problem, I think, largely with broadcasters and production companies' processes that make it incredibly difficult and worry people in terms of how they take their complaints forward.
Yeah. Is there one particular sector of entertainment and broadcasting of the media which is maybe more prone to this kind of conduct than others? I mean, just a random example. I read at the weekend an individual account which suggested that the area of comedy was more prone to this for some reason. Does that ring any sort of bell with you?
I mean, I read that at the weekend as well, that comedy was a particular sector that was problematic, but I suspect not. I mean, we've seen examples across film, TV, in all parts of the creative industries, music, fashion. You know, the creative industries, I think, more generally has a problem which relates to the freelance and precarious nature of the work.